Greetings, everyone. Dean Machine here, and welcome back to Buried. Finally, we're going to finish this game. I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice. Alright, let's continue anyway. The ride up the elevator is tense. I take a series of deep breaths, doing everything I can to stay in control. Amy has gotten back to her feet, but her head is pressed against the elevator wall as she suppresses a series of sobs. I find myself trying to remember the way those creatures looked. My mind seems to shudder at the effort. I have seen something that is an impossibility, a mockery of what I know is real. This fills me with terror that dwarfs anything else I have felt since discovering this facility. I try to focus my mind on something else. That's when I remember that I've just murdered Marcus. I killed Marcus, I say. The thought feeling like jumping into cold water. Had you ever killed anyone before? Amy asks. No. He was going to kill me, she says. I'm sure of it. Probably. Well, thank you, she says, but her tone is unsteady and her face unreadable. Alright, before we get into this decision, I jumped into the game without really saying something. This was supposed to go up yesterday. I'm sorry about that, but Stranger Things Season 2 happened, and that sucked away all of my day. So, yeah, that was why that was. Of course. I guess he deserved it, she says. Her comment hangs in the air for a moment as we wait for the elevator to stop. So, I say, how did you end up here? She gives me a nervous chuckle and shrugs. I used to work with the Pentagon. It was some pretty upper echelon stuff that I still can't discuss. Excuse me. I assume this place is even more up echelon, I said. This place isn't even on the scale, she answers. My other job was a cakewalk compared to this. Then why stay, I ask. Because the money is ridiculous. I have a 13-year-old daughter already talking about Harvard. You do the math. That's ambitious. It's very ambitious. Oh, I know. She's a force of nature. Her dad ran off when she was 3, so for a long time it's just been her and me. Amy pauses before continuing softly. What if I never see? Her voice breaks off. The words too terrible to say. Her eyes fill with tears. The elevator comes to a stop, the slight ding of an interrupting moment. Amy hastily wipes her eyes, and we waste no time getting back inside the command center. Sad. I ready the rifle suddenly certain that there are more of those creatures waiting for us in the hallway of the second level. But the way was clear, allowing us to haul ass to the command center. Once again, I find myself staring at the screen that shows me my ruined worksite. Okay, Amy says, typing commands rapidly. It can't be that hard. I keep peeking over my shoulder, my senses feeling as if the monsters are sneaking up on us, mere inches away. Then I think of Dennis. I wonder how he's faring back on level 3. Is he safe? I look back at the screens and see that Amy has finally found what she's looking for. A prompt on the screen that says override of hangar doors and all level 3 locks requires clearance code. Amy types in a number with her shaking finger and the screen goes black for a moment. The moment the words override confirmed come up on the screen, Amy jumps up from the chair and heads out of the room. We have to be quick, she says. We have exactly 20 minutes to open those hangar doors. What happens in 20 minutes? The locks will kick in again, she says. Security measures. I couldn't do anything about it. I follow her out of the command center and bound back down the hallway toward the same elevator that brought us up here. Amy punches the elevator button and the door slides open. We're taking the same elevator back to the biochem room? I ask. Those creatures are still down there. It's the only way back down, she says. The other way is blocked by those hydraulic doors we pulled. Hopefully the creatures left. Hopefully. Neither of us say anything else as we share a look of immense dread. We step back into the elevator and head back down to the biochem room on level 3. So had we not closed those hydraulic doors, things would be very different. Again, that lovely bloody X right there just says it all. As the elevator doors open, we peer out, looking to see if the creatures are still in the area, but it's all clear. When Amy looks at me, her eyes are clear and strong. Marcus was entirely wrong, Amy says. We start walking back toward the hangar doors. About what? About how I'm partially to blame for this. Why would you be to blame? I don't understand this. Some of the things we do here, it's scary. We should have known that one day something like this would happen. Everyone here with knowledge of what goes on in level 3 is to blame, she says. It's a highly advanced research facility, I say, doing amazing but risky stuff. So yeah, you're partially to blame by just working here, but I can understand the dedication. So why don't you tell me a bit more about what does go on level 3, I ask. Are you familiar with the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland? I've heard the phrase, but that's about it, I say. It's a powerful particle accelerator, she explains. Right now they are using it to try and create what's called dark matter. It's theorized that dark matter actually makes up a majority of the universe. But parts of the universe very different from ours. My guess is the people at the LHC will probably create their first dark matter particle in about 2018 or 2019. That's coming up close. Here in this facility, we were able to create one almost 10 years ago. It was the key to our research. Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's lovely. What does this matter do? I've actually never been quite certain on that myself, being a big like science-y, sci-fi, physics type guy. I've never been certain what dark matter actually does. So, there. We use dark matter to assist with instantaneous transfer of a subject, but we have yet to perfect it or understand why it works. So you're saying it lets you gain access to different dimensions, I ask. That's the theory, she says. During the point-to-point transfer, the subjects are gone for about 3 to 6 seconds. There's no way to see or measure their presence, but they exist somewhere. From what we can tell, they exist in a kind of void. That's fun. Well, a void is literally nothing. It's just blackness. Space is a void. Well, most of space. We have sent human subjects through. Almost all of them have returned successfully. I make an involuntary grimace. Almost. There was one man, Dr. Kana, who didn't return. We don't know where. She trails off, taking a moment to collect herself. Sorry, I asked, I say, feeling my mind start to bend inward again. As we continue to walk between the silos, we walk past the area where I left Marcus's body. I barely even glance at his body, still unable to believe I was responsible for killing him. I also don't want to look at additional damage the monsters caused. A pool of blood and mangled clothes are all that I see through the corner of my eye. Ugh. I realize that we are walking very close together between the silos, perhaps trying to create the illusion of safety. We reach the exit connecting to the hangar doors, where Dennis hopefully still is. My guts clench and my heart hammers in my chest as we open the door and walk through. I lift the rifle at first, but it seems that there is nothing waiting for us. And that's when I see the glowing, hulking shape to my left, closing in fast. Oh no. Nice blood smear. Good. The creature is about 10 feet away and coming in quickly. So I do the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, my game froze. I drop to the ground, making myself a smaller target, and raise the rifle. I'm not sure if I should just unload on the bastard or try to be choosy with my shots. and weaken it, or at least slow it down. Shoot to weaken or shoot to kill. I have a feeling that bullets aren't going to kill these things. I don't want to waste a lot of ammo shooting to kill if it's not going to kill. That's the problem I'm having. We're going to shoot to weaken. My shot causes the entire milky white frame to jerk to the floor. It flounders, its ghost-like tentacles writhing with rage as it cries out at me. It seems to return and jerk away, parts of it appearing and disappearing every few feet. It moves down the hall and out of sight. I look quickly around for others, but there is only Amy. She looks at where the monster went with wide eyes. Her face is pale, and I wonder if, like me, she's able to feel her mind trying to retreat. Come on, I say. Let's find Dennis and get through these hangar doors. Amy glances at her watch and nods. We're already down 6 minutes. Down to 6 minutes. Oh, geez. We turn toward the hangar door, and I'm a little disgusted with myself because the bloody scene that so shocked me before now seems mild. Amy goes to work on the computer console on the side of the doors. She starts punching in keys before saying, "This is going to take some time." "I thought you already unlocked it." "I did," she said, "but for the doors, there's still security permissions I need to hack. Marcus would have known how to do this." She trails off, and I decide to let her work. Suddenly, something slams into me. I feel my feet leave the floor, and I'm literally thrown across the concrete. I look up in time to see one of the creatures. It's apparently in no hurry to attack me again, focusing on Amy instead. She's not armed. I need to come up with a plan to get this thing away from her so she can focus on getting the door open. It raises one of its flickering appendages, making me certain that part of its makeup is pure light and energy. I could easily take a shot with my rifle, but my mind again goes to how much remaining ammo I have. The only other thing I can think of is to get it to chase me and lead it away from the room. Somewhere. See, distracting it might not be the best idea because it might just ignore you. If it's like focused on Amy, probably just would ignore me. I haven't used a lot of ammo. I'm going to take the shot. I lift my rifle groggily and fire as quickly as I can. Not having good footing and still reeling from the attack, my aim is off, but the noise of it distracts the monster from Amy. Shoot! The monster turns to me, and I'm again face to face with something that has no business being in this world, in this reality. Its body gives off a sort of glow around the central part, a bulbous core that is branched off into two humps, very much like a spider. Again, I sense that this visual information is not accurate, but it's the best I can do to make sense of the impossible creature. I pull the trigger again, this shot taking the monster directly in the center. It spasms backwards and lets out a shriek of agony that makes my ears feel like they'll explode. From somewhere very close by, another creature cries out in response. "You okay?" I ask Amy. I can clearly see her battling for control of her faculties. Stealing determination wins out, and she gives a grim nod. Wow, English. "Any signs of where Dennis went?" I ask, hoping she hasn't noticed his body somewhere. "No," she replies. It's then that I realize that I have no idea how many rounds I have remaining in my rifle. This isn't a model I'm familiar with. Outside of some deer hunting, I'm not much of an expert on firearms. Still, I'm able to locate the chamber easily and see that there were only 2 rounds left. I silently curse myself for being too trigger happy earlier. "How are we on time?" I ask her. 4 minutes. "I'm going as fast as I can," she says. Amy does her best to focus on the keyboard, but there's still no sign of Dennis. Before I have time to look around, a screeching sound erupts from the other end of the room. I bring the rifle up in a shooter stance and turn around. With the hangar doors right of me, No sign of Dennis. In a closing window of time, I have to be confident. Yet then, two monsters come around the corner. My body wants to shut down. The appendages seem to jump in time and space, reaching out for a split second, independent from the body, and then disappearing back to where they came from. It turns and screeches at me, its glowing tentacles snaking out of its body. My knees tremble uncontrollably. Behind me, Amy shrieks. I find myself losing control, my mind sliding into the abyss of insanity. I pull myself from the brink. I have to stay in control. Turn away or shoot them. I only have 2 shots left, though. But I was very choosy with my ammo. How do I only have 2 shots left? That makes no sense to me. Do I take the shot? Do I not? Do I take it? Do I don't? Do I take it? Do I don't? Alright, I'm going to flip my phone. You guys can't see this, but I'm going to flip my phone. Screen up, shoot, screen down, turn. It's screen up. I step away from Amy and the hangar doors and toward the monsters, ready to defend her. I ready my rifle, but the creature wastes no time. It makes that jerky motion toward me, and there's a sharp pain in my chest as it collides with me, or through me. It's hard to tell. My instinct is to try to grapple or hold the thing down, but then I realize I don't even know if that will work. Try to grab the creature. I try to grapple with the creature, but it feels very different from my struggle with Marcus earlier. It's not easily grabbed. My fingers slide through parts of it, some parts like a ghost, others like a jellyfish. Touching it burns my hand, but only slightly. When I realize I can't grip it, I quickly spring away and turn to face it. With a scream of defiance, I raise the rifle and put a round into its core. One shot lands dead in the center, and the light inside of it flickers almost violently. It falls back against the wall, issuing a hiss of its telltale static noise. It then jerks away and retreats, at least for now. Another terror appears as if out of nowhere, screaming at me with its high-pitched whine. It bounds forward, charging in its strange, spastic way. I aim the rifle, intending to take this one in the core too. Take several shots, but I only had 2. But it's still coming at me. I take several shots, but it's still coming at me. As it slams into me, I pull the trigger again and realize that my rifle is now empty. On contact, the wind is knocked out of my lungs, and the back of my head strikes the floor. But neither of those things is as alarming as the fact that the beast is now on top of me. Its exterior like a seashell that has been pounded by the surf for so long it has lost all edges and ridges. But the grip it tries to capture me with is pure violence. It feels like those light-soaked appendages start to wrap around me. Ooh. I raise the rifle, knowing it's empty, but hoping to use it as a wedge to push the thing off me. The weight of the monster is erratic. One moment, I feel weightless. The other, I feel like I'm going to be crushed. I push upwards with the rifle. The monster budges a bit, but almost seems to absorb it, warping it in its grip. I see the core of its body, a spider-like shape, connected to the rest of it by thin white strandings of tissue. I'll be dead within seconds unless I can fend it off or get help. Let Amy work, and we're gonna punch the son of a gun. I do my best to give one last heave to push it off when my hands melt through. I curse myself for wasting so many bullets earlier. 2 of its appendages wrap around my left shoulder. I feel a white-hot pain fill my body. No game! The tentacles burn, and I realize that some are actually going through my shoulder, kind of like a kid pulling apart the stitches of a doll. But then I see the creature extend its tentacle in aggravation while making that static screeching sound. The creature flickers, releasing me suddenly. With a shudder and a cry of desperation, I roll away from it and see that a large hole has appeared in its illumination core. The creature disappears into thin air and reappears a few feet from me, retreating back towards the biochem room. Amy looks at me from her terminal at the hangar doors, looking petrified. Dennis stands several feet away, holding a shotgun. There we go, Dennis! He walks slowly toward us and is clearly just as scared and out of sorts as we are. You okay, boss? He asks. But his eyes aren't on me. They're looking at the creature, trying to understand exactly what he'd just seen. About 15 minutes ago, I heard the door to the maintenance room unlock, Dennis says, pointing to the room I tried to bust my way into earlier. Ah, Amy says, when I did the override up in the command center, it unlocked all the small doors down here, including that maintenance room. I went inside there and hid, Dennis continued, and while I was waiting for you two to come back, I found a massive trunk. There were a few guns in it, so I grabbed one, he says, patting the shotgun. We're glad that Dennis is safe. You know, that's all that matters right now. Thanks, boss, he says. Me too. Great. Now, how's that door coming along? I ask Amy. She makes a few final key presses and says done. The doors open with a noise of hydraulics and whoosh of air. Dennis and Amy and I climb up and head through the doors, moving on nothing more than adrenaline. I see her look longingly at the maintenance room Dennis took the shotgun from. You get into the hangar, Dennis says. I'll get some more firepower. Satisfied with the plan, Amy heads through the doors. We scramble inside, finally inside the hangar. Dennis approaches us from behind, holding several guns and looking like a kid who grabbed an armful of Halloween candy. Amy reaches out for a 9mm with one hand. Dennis returns to me and holds out a shotgun and a handgun for me to choose. Both look deadly. The shotgun looks more powerful, but the handgun will probably be more precise. Huh. Now, when I play first-person shooters, I'm not very accurate. I like to go with the shotgun because, you know, when you're within a couple feet, you can just blow someone away, and it's glorious. So I'm going to take the shotgun. Ooh. I take the shotgun, surprised at how heavy it feels, but also invigorated by its weight. There are more creatures coming, as many as a dozen. They are floating down the hall quickly, their tentacles slithering. One way their light seems to mingle together is almost beautiful. Close the door, I yell at Amy. She dashes to another terminal mounted on the side of the hangar doors and tries desperately to close it. It's not working, she says, with tears in her eyes. This terminal is disabled. Dennis looks through the open doors, readying himself to shoot the first monster. Then Van nears us. That's weird English. I don't think that's right. Should we try to slow a few down, or just run for it, he asks, his gun at the ready. Fire away, because we don't want any getting inside the hangar. This is our safe space. Fire away. I pump my shotgun and fire in the creature's general direction. No need to be picky. Dennis fires a shot into the approaching swarm, and they scatter instantaneously. Just to give him something to think about, he says smugly. With that, we turn around and sprint out onto the hangar floor. It's a good-sized hangar. It's a real good-sized hangar. The room is enormous, so large that to call it a room would seem silly. A large concrete floor stretches out below an expansive lofted ceiling. The area is mostly empty except for one side, which has rows and rows of metal barrels. Back on the far wall is a lit area that seems to expose more rooms, labs, and machinery. Also in the rear of the hangar, I can see some kind of chamber or control center. Dennis and I follow Amy across the hangar floor. Behind us, a series of rough, slithering sounds tells us the creatures have made their way into the hangar. From somewhere up ahead, a loud buzzing noise sounds out. It reminds me of the slight buzzing noise I heard in the forest, the noise that I try to avoid. Excuse me. Looking ahead and see that in the far back of the hangar, a bright red light is flashing. There's a small hatch or door below the light. The hatch is open. I can see a shape inside of it. I can barely make out the figure of a man standing there, holding an industrial microphone. And as soon as I see him, I hear his huge amplified voice. He blares down the intercom system and he sounds pissed. "I don't know who the hell you are," he says, "but this is a government facility on lockdown and there are protocols to shit." I assume the curse coincides with the exact moment he sees the creatures. They are making their way through the hangar doors. There are about 20 feet between us and the creatures. I act instinctively, squeezing off 2 shots with a shotgun. The first sprays a low, hitting the floor and causing a shower of sparks, but the second shot causes one monster to jerk backwards. It's a good thing that a shotgun is quite forgiving. Amy and Dennis take the cue to start firing as well. The floor becomes littered with a swirling white fluid from the wounded creatures' bodies. But they are not slowing down. The alarm keeps shrieking behind us. When I turn to see if anything has changed back there, I trip over my feet. I hit the ground hard in almost comic fashion, slide several feet across the floor. From the ground, I see that we have managed to turn back 4 of them, but I also see that my estimate of a dozen is off. Ugh. There are at least 20 of them. They're sick, dim light, sinister and gloomy. Their appendages seem to bind together as they come forward. My only hope of survival is the man in the far doorway has somehow shut the hangar doors. His voice comes blaring over the intercom again, broken by the booming noise of the gunfire we are laying down. "Run here, run here towards the isolation chamber." I'm not sure how much time we have. I realize that I can sprint ahead of Amy and Dennis, or I can hang back and give them cover. Save my own skin or save my friends? Save my friends. "Go inside where that guy is," I say. "I'll make sure we don't have any of those things right on our tails. I'll hold them back for a while." I know it sounds macho, but it also feels like the right thing to do. I have to at least try to give us some kind of chance for escape. So Amy and Dennis run through the doors. I blast the next thing that I see moving. And all I get for my troubles is that static-like hiss and a high-pitched whistling noise. I'm able to beat them back a bit, forcing them to scatter. Each flicker of light is a small victory. If nothing else, I'm buying Amy and Dennis time. When I'm certain that there's nothing more I can do, I turn and run. I hustle quickly, catching up to Amy and Dennis, who stop and turn to provide me with cover fire. "There," Amy says, pointing to the small door where the man is standing earlier. The swarm is less than 15 feet away now, so furious that they'll be pushing through one another to get to us. I fire, still not quite used to the kick of the shotgun. I aim for the core of one, but the shot hits low. Still, it knocks the bastard back, giving me time to readjust. We're in the middle of the hangar floor now, with the isolation chamber ahead, and the monsters behind. Beside me, Dennis also fires. The kick of the shotgun jolts him, probably a result of him being weakened from the blood loss. His shot lands true, though, causing a jerking stumble and a flickering of its light. "We're almost in," Amy yells as we get close to the door we hope will save us. I'm gonna tell Dennis and Amy to get in first. Hang on a second. I will return shortly. And I'm back. Dennis and Amy go in first. Get inside, I tell Amy and Dennis, motioning for them to get moving with my gun. I open the door and give Dennis a push toward it. He resists, more eager to try taking down another beast before he makes it to safety, but he eventually gives in. I wait a beat to make sure Amy's inside too. I fire off a few rounds in the creatures that are still headed for us, hoping to slow them down. When Amy and Dennis clear the door, I nearly dash inside, but then feel something hot seep into my back. Roger, Dennis yells. The pain in my back is so immense that I barely notice the fact that I'm being lifted from the floor. I look down and see that one of the creatures is using its flowing arms to grab me by my waist. Its tentacles wrapping around me. It lifts me into the air as if presenting me as a trophy to its friends. I can't angle my shotgun to fire off a round, so I bring the stock of it down on the monster's translucent smoothie body. It's like striking at fog. My attack has very little effect, as it continues to hoist me up, screeching its approval. Dennis comes back out of the room and fires off a shot. The bullet catches the monster on the underside of its core, sending it backwards and causing it to freeze for a moment. It releases me, and I hit the ground, dropping my gun, and again finding myself unable to breathe. I feel slightly dizzy, but that fades when I see Dennis is still standing outside the door. He's firing into the beast like a madman, and doesn't see the one to his left, coming in along the edge of the wall. Scream or push? Scream. Hearing my voice, he turns and looks directly at me. But this is the opposite of what he needs to do. Behind him, the creature glides up, shaking back and forth in space as it moves. By the time Dennis turns and sees the creature coming, it's already drawn several of its appendages back to strike. Dennis tries to raise the gun, but it's knocked away by one of the tentacles. The second tentacle strikes, and Dennis is spun around and thrown off balance by the attack. Dennis catches himself before falling. A third tentacle wraps around Dennis's forearm. You can see it squeeze, tightening instantly. The tip of the appendage passes clean through his hand, its blood-soaked tip poking out through the palm. Dennis's face grimaces with pain as he tries to wrench his arm free, but the creature's tentacle has his hand speared like a nail through wood. In a moment of dark clarity, I realize that I can free him with a clean shot to the monster's tentacle, but it will likely mean blowing Dennis's hand off. Ugh. Dennis, I yell over the creature's high-pitched static sound. Can you get free? I have a shot. Maybe. No, Dennis gasps as the creature tosses him around by a hand like a puppet. Don't shoot, I can get free. I can't see if he's right. I can't tell if he's right, but the other monsters are starting to encircle him. I need to act fast. I don't think Dennis can get free. I honestly don't. But blowing his hand off, that's not a great idea. We are gonna wait for Dennis to get away. Dennis is fighting hard, doing everything he can to bring the gun around with his good hand. He's screaming as he tries to tear his hand away, screaming in both fury and desperation. This only seems to anger the creature, which then swats Dennis with another of its tentacles, opening a deep gash across his cheek. His skin peels back and his eyes go wide with shock. The creature drops him to the ground as if playing with him. And then the floor and space around Dennis seems to warp. The bottom quarter of his body seems to disappear before I realize it's been merged with the floor. And at that moment I know it's over. 3 others swarm him, surrounding what remains of his fallen body. I don't even hear Dennis scream. There's just a frenzy of the crackling, sickening wail sound. After that, there's nothing else. Fury, sorrow, and absolute rage surge through my heart. I grab my gun as the remaining beasts come toward me. They'll kill me, but I don't care. This is war. As far as I'm concerned, this is Amy grabs me from behind and pulls me hard inside. I try fighting her off, but she's persistent, and part of my mind knows she's right. Don't be an idiot, she yells to me. She practically throws me through the doorway. As I fall, I hear her fire off 2 shots before slamming the door closed behind her. I watch blearily as she punches a few buttons on the control pad on the wall. This is followed by a metallic click as the door locks. We're safe in the chambers. Dennis is gone. Oh, damn it. Damn it, Dennis. Damn it, Dennis. We're now inside a large reinforced chamber of sorts, almost like the inside of a submarine. Near us is the door shut tight. Far away from us along the back wall are all sorts of controls and monitors. It seems clear that the metal door is impenetrable, at least to them. I'm fairly sure they aren't getting in. Dennis, I say. I'm sorry, Amy says. And I'm sorry for pulling you back, but you are walking into your death out there. I know, I say, but that doesn't make it any easier. I couldn't quite see, but it looked like you may have had a shot. Why didn't you take it? Amy asks. Roger, Amy says. My God, I'm sorry. He's dead, I say, hoping that speaking the words will help me understand what just happened. I came through all this to try and save him, and he's dead. How did this happen? Why did you listen to him? Out of nowhere, the image of Dennis pumping his fist after winning a game of pool pops into my head. I can't reconcile that happy image with what I just saw. I feel myself zoning out. Mind is just give up, but I'm stubborn, and the fact that Dennis is dead is a cruel motivator. I have to get out of here, I say. What I didn't say is that I have to get out of here so that all this trouble will have been worth something. We're interrupted by the man's voice behind us. Just what in the hell did you think you were doing? The man roars. He's an older man, seems to exude power and authority, but he also looks tired and scared. I assume this is Barksdale. He walks over to us from the back recesses of the chamber. We didn't have a choice, Amy responds. We had to. Did you override the locks on the hangar doors? Barksdale demands. Yes, I did, but we had to. Do you have any idea what you could have done? Amy doesn't answer right away. She's furious, but she's also scared and visibly exhausted. Yeah, I love the idea of this, okay? I just lost my best friend. I am, trying to grieve over him. I got this guy yelling at me like, what the hell were you thinking? Getting in here. Stupid game. I'm gonna fire back. I am 100% gonna fire back. I address my question to Amy, preferring to get my info from her rather than whoever this is. The man doesn't break eye contact with Amy. Colonel Barksdale, he runs the place, she says, annoyed. Look, Barksdale, she says, you can berate me and lecture me all you want when this mess is over. But right now, I have a wounded civilian here, and as you can see, several entities trying to get into this room. So if you could actually do something instead of sitting on your throne and yelling at me, that would be great. I am impressed by her guts and wonder if there is some sort of beef between the two of them. Surely working in a place like this could cause some stress and tension between people. As we wait, I notice a small peephole in the door and go to it and look out to the things. They're still looking for a way in, but finding no success. I wonder if they can sense or somehow see me through the door. Oh, I love how I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fire back. And no, it's Amy that pops the shots. That's great. Ah, damn it. If you can't tell, I'm drinking water. I just spilled a bunch in my pants, so it looks like I pissed myself. That's lovely. I'm going to flip the creatures the bird because that's lovely. I can't help myself. I hold my middle finger up to one and smile definitely. I get a blast of high-pitched sound in response. You'll be reprimanded for speaking to me in such a way, Barksdale says to Amy. Reprimand me all you want. I'd like to survive this first. Cover your ears, Barksdale shouts, walking away towards the far end of the room. Stay put until you hear back from me. Thank you, Amy says with a fire in her voice. Then she turns to me and says, better do what the man says. I'm going to cover my ears. I clap my hands over my ears just in time to protect my hearing from a deafening blast. I can still feel my blood rushing out and wonder if this is what Dennis felt like at the beginning of his end. Before the sorrow of losing Dennis can consume me, something slaps me against the wall of the room with a tremendous force. I assume this is just another of the monsters slithering along the wall, but when I turn toward the door, I hear something surprising. More bursts of loud explosive noise start ringing out. Looking through the peephole again, I see the core of one of the beasts explode. It vanishes in a puff of smoke and clear liquid. Ugh! Looking to my left, I see Barksdale in a shooting stance at the far end of the room. He's firing through a small slit in the wall. He's using some high-powered weapon, the likes of which I've never seen. I see a slight movement as the gun kicks, accompanied by the flicker of white light again. Immediately another monster's downed, its tentacles flailing around aimlessly, as most of its core is torn through. I instantly feel gratitude and an immense satisfaction in knowing that they are being picked off in such a way. Now I'm going to continue watching. This is entertaining. I slide my eye up to the peephole again and watch what effect the shots are having outside. Because I know that white liquid and gas is the creature's blood, seeing it draws up a frenzied bloodlust in me. Another is blasted in the center, and a translucent shell collapses towards its inward as its light dies out. Yet another is shot in a mass of floating tentacles, causing its body to disappear and dip in and out of existence. After several moments, my view is blocked by the splatter of white liquid that covers my peephole. When the firing is over, I barely even notice it. Soon after, Barksdale walks back over to our side of the room. They're all gone, Barksdale says, and I have resealed the hangar doors. How do you kill them like that, I ask. Classified weapons that, quite frankly, you have no business being near. Amy gets to her feet and returns to the panel on the wall. Thanks. How badly is the civilian hurt? Barksdale asks Amy, as if I'm not good enough for him to speak to. A nasty cut, Amy answers. If he gets some quick attention, he'll be okay. Okay, I'll have Strickland get a med kit. Strickland survived? Amy asked, sounding cheerful. Yes, and until you and your friend showed up, I thought we were the only ones. Hang tight, she's on her way. With that said, he retreats away back to the back of the room, as if he can't stand to be around us. Amy approaches me and looks me over. You're in good hands. Strickland will be able to fix you up. Is she a doctor or something? Sort of. She's also a physicist, but oddly enough, she spent time as a trauma nurse in the army. Is Strickland a friend of yours, I ask? Amy chuckles. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. The only woman in a sea of overachieving men. We're going to focus on the happy. I am. We usually have lunch together, she says, and she's helping me out of a few tight spots in my career. Within a few seconds, the door behind us opens and a woman appears from back further in the chamber. She enters the room with what looks like a small suitcase. She's dressed in a very basic and drab military getup, complete with holstered sidearm. My name is Connie Strickland, she says, getting straight to the point. I can patch you up pretty good, but it's going to hurt. I nod, honestly not caring how much it hurts. My God, I just want to get out of here and to get home. Sit down and let's see if we can get your shirt off, Strickland says. I sit down slowly and start unbuttoning my shirt, but she has to help me slip it off my shoulders, but we manage. How bad is it, I ask. Bad, she says. It almost looks like a burn, but I've seen much worse. I might as well talk to Strickland, if only to distract from the pain. Strickland rolls her eyes as she gathers up a needle and some thread. I was always into fringe science. I started in a lab where these eccentric Russian scientists were being funded by the U.S. to work on combining DNA types. I sort of became obsessed with perfecting human physiology while I was a trauma nurse in the Army. You were a mad scientist to them. You were a mad scientist then, I say? I get that a lot, but no, not compared to the stuff we do here. Kind of stuff. It's complicated. Komar masses, quantum gravity, crunching things down into the Schwarzschild radius, fun stuff. Yeah, I'm a mad scientist, I say, trying to keep myself calm with dry humor. There are lots of small labs working on this same stuff, she argues. They just don't have our funding. When you guys ran in here, she says, I was horrified. Those barrels outside, I'm not sure if you saw them. Well, if you shot them, it would have been bad. Why? The gray ones are filled with an experimental fuel that is highly flammable. The yellow ones contain liquid nitrogen. What? I ask. Just laying around? Well, this area is the safest in the building, the most secure. Well, it used to be anyway. And take this, she says, handing me 4 pills, painkillers. They won't work immediately, but they'll dull the worst of what you're feeling. Are these the best idea, I ask? Won't they make me dizzy or out of sorts or something? All I get in response is an annoyed and determined look. We're gonna take the painkillers. Oh, that was a thing that. I dry swallow the pills as she starts working on me. She slathers the wound with some sort of liquid that stings like crazy, and I gasp. We're gonna grin and bear it. Ready to stab me? Yeah, Strickland asks. I'm fine, I hiss. I wince as she dabs my eye, swollen from where Marcus kicked me. I grit my teeth in pain and try to catch my breath. The anticipation is the worst part. I'm relieved to find that it doesn't hurt as much as I feared. It's no picnic for sure, but compared to the fire-like pain in my wound, it's bearable. So you and Barksdale are the only survivors? Amy asks. Seems that way. Those that didn't disappear into thin air were killed by those things, Strickland says, nodding to the secure doors. I really don't like how the game is doing this. I don't know what's wrong with my Steam, but it's being weird. How many were killed? I'm guessing 30 or so, Strickland says. I'm not sure how many were scheduled to come in today. I'm glad to see you. Where were you when it happened, Amy asks. I was in the micro lab on level 2, Strickland replies. Park and O'Brien were in there with me, and they just disappeared, I guess. Oh, excuse me. It looked like they were being stretched, distorted, and then there was a ball of white light, and they were gone. The ball of light just annihilated everything it touched. It would leave a perfectly round hole. Would it leave a perfectly round hole, I asked. A light bulb turned on in my head. We saw some of those up at the logging site. It was probably the same phenomenon, Strickland replies. Amy looks like a child afraid to ask an adult for something. Finally she asks, where did they go? We don't know, Strickland says. It could be an infinite number of different dimensions, or even some dimensions that merge and mix together. It could also be a place that exists between dimensions. Barksdale calls it the void. I mean, if you're in a void, you're probably dead. That's just, but that seems rude. We don't know that just yet, Strickland says. Our understanding of space time is evolving, especially when you start warping it like we have been doing, Amy adds. That point seems to be the end of the conversation, as both women fall quiet. I winced through the rest of Strickland's stitching, feeling the tug of my skin, but thankfully, no more flowing blood. Finally, Strickland says, "You're good to go." I slide my shirt back on, aware that the thick pad of gauze that Strickland applied to my shoulder. "So, have you and Barksdale been able to contain all those creatures?" Amy asks. Strickland appears shocked. Clearly not the reaction Amy was expecting. "Contain? Are you nuts? Do you know what's happening?" Amy's eyes widen in fearful conclusion. "What do you mean, what's happening, other than the initial experiment failure?" "Those anomalies are becoming more numerous, and further from the source," Strickland says. The casual humor in her voice is now gone. "Further from the source? That sounds bad." "From the location of the origin of the original experiment," she says. "The experiment caused the first doorway to open, but it set off a chain reaction. They are gaining momentum along geodesics emanating from the facility. It's these pockets of exotic matter and negative energy that are letting those things in." "What the hell does that mean?" I ask. "It means..." Frick. Give me a sec. Stupid thing. "It means," Amy chimes in, "that those doorways and monsters are starting to appear all over the facility, maybe even the surface." "Not yet," luckily, Strickland says, "but the doorways will start appearing on the surface, and it won't stop there. The anomalies' reach could extend infinitely, as far as we know. Those entities will appear on the surface in other states, other countries." "Holy shit," I say. "You mean the world is going to be overrun?" The horror of the past few hours has made me believe anything, but this is almost too much. "Unfortunately, yes," Strickland says. "My God," Amy says, stepping away. "Isn't there anything we can do?" "There is a last resort," Strickland says, her eyes darting over to Barksdale at the back of the room. "There's an emergency fail-safe switch." "What?" Amy says. "I've never heard of that. Where?" "You weren't cleared for it," Strickland replies. "And that switch," Amy says, "is a way to stop this?" "Yes," Strickland says, seemingly uneasy with the conversation. "Why haven't you hit it already?" "Well, there's two problems with hitting it," Strickland replies. "The switch is our eraser. It destroys the entire facility and terminates any systems and experiments that are being conducted. It's also an emergency shutdown for interdimensional travel. It puts an event horizon around the facility." "What the hell is that?" I ask, incredulous. "It's the perimeter of a black hole," she replies, "the boundary inside which nothing can escape, not even light. So the first problem is we'd all be killed, sucked into a black hole, before we'd have time to evacuate. The second reason," Strickland whispers, suddenly quiet, "is that Barksdale won't allow it." "What?" Amy gasps. "Why not?" He wants to allow those things to flood the surface. Thousands, millions will die." Strickland puts her hand up, silencing Amy. They both peer over the far side of the room, where Barksdale has his back turned. I know. He says he doesn't care. He says he'll be happy to be rid of the oversight, so he can continue his work." "The oversight?" Amy almost screams, regaining control of her voice when Strickland gives her another look of warning. "You mean our government?" I ask. "He's aware this could disrupt, even topple our government, and he doesn't care?" Strickland sighs. "Barksdale is... well, he's off the range right now. He's gone rogue, and he's armed." This comment makes me look towards the shotgun I brought in with me. I nearly forgotten it in the last few moments. While Barksdale had his back turned to us, I take my hands and slide it behind me. Just in time, too, as Barksdale walks over from the back of the room to our side of the chamber. He gives Strickland a suspicious look before speaking to her. The civilian is going to survive, he asks. Yes, he's stitched up and good to go, Strickland replies. That's great news, Barksdale says. I'm sitting right here, I say sarcastically. You can actually speak to me, you know. Amy, it's quite nice to see that you have survived, he says. Were there any others? The aloof way this asshole is talking to us is getting under my skin. A guy named Marcus that works on the first level from IT, Amy says. That's all I know for sure. Marcus Pabscott, Barksdale says. Where is he? Yeah, I killed him. Oh, jeez. He put us in an impossible situation, I say. I was forced to kill him. Barksdale raises one of his eyebrows and lets out a smile. Yes, we're often forced into unspeakable things for survival. Tell me, have you ever killed before? No, I answer. But he lost his mind and was violent. And careful, Barksdale says with something like dark humor in his voice. You've just admitted to killing a federal employee. Barksdale seems to think about something and then looks directly at me. You're with the logging crew, aren't you? Remind me, how did you get in here again? We fell through a hole. There was a hole in the ground. It led to a cave that kind of, brought us inside. Alright, we lost our primary power source when the experiment failed, Barksdale says. The experimental failure created those exotic matter pockets, that hole you fell into. And if there were enough of them, it may have opened a way into our facility. Depending on the power sources that were damaged, Barksdale continued, it could have also shut down the locking system before the backups kicked in. Everything is starting to make sense now, from the very start. It had seemed peculiar that we'd be so easily able to walk into a place like this. What caused the experiment to fail, or where's the rest of my crew? I mean, honestly, half of my crew is dead, the other half probably vanished into thin air, most likely. I'm going to talk about the experiment. Your crew hit one of the main power lines. We aren't sure exactly how, but we know that's what did it. You're trying to blame this on me? I roar. The timing was unfortunate, Barksdale says. So where's the rest of our crew? Your crew, Barksdale asked. Frank and Joe? They're gone. Gone? Gone where? I asked, voice trembling. Hearing them speak the names of my crew enrages me. They were annihilated by antimatter pockets during the failure. A bright ball of light. In the aftermath, all you'd see would be a round hole in the ground. Barksdale says this like he's frick. Says this like he's sharing yesterday's sports scores. I let my face crumble into my hands. I suspected all of this. All this time, they were already dead. So, Amy asks, what do we do now? Now it's time to continue our work, Barksdale says calmly, turning away to the instruments on the near wall. Ooh, fire at him, or be quiet. We're at an hour. Holy crap, this is long. I might cut this into two parts. You're insane. You want to keep your little toys to yourself? I say, my teeth clenched. And you're willing to unleash those monsters on the world to do it? Indeed, Barksdale says, I want to continue my work. Other researchers will eventually discover what we have. Sure. But I want it to be me. This is my laboratory. These are my experiments. The work I've led here will earn my place in history. And quite frankly, I don't need to explain it to you. Up on the surface, they'll struggle to defend themselves. Since they won't know what they're dealing with, I have the necessary weapons. After a few months, who knows? Maybe I'll decide the world is ready for me to help them, and I will go from there. Strickland steps up directly behind me and whispers into my ear. I wouldn't push him, she says. He is usually very logical, but this whole thing has pushed him somewhere else. He's well off. He turns his back to us as he says this, walking to the far side of the chamber like we're some kind of distraction. Amy takes this opportunity to whisper to us. We need to hit that switch, she says. It's the only option. What he's saying is murder, treason, genocide. She looks over to Strickland for support, trailing off, but Strickland looks to the ground, clearly torn. She won't look anyone in the eye, and makes an effort not to look at Barksdale. He seems distracted with whatever instruments he's studying on the far side of the room. Sorry. The dreamlike quality I experienced earlier is wearing off. The painkillers seem to be losing their edge. Strickland finally whispers a response. Even if we decide that we want to hit that switch, Barksdale won't allow us. I mean, are we willing to kill Barksdale? That's the situation at hand here. Because I feel like that's what it's going to come down to. It's killing Barksdale. Amy agrees. Where is the switch located? She asks. There's an elevator out in the hangar. Strickland says, take it to the basement. The switch is at the end of a long tunnel. But Strickland never finishes. Two things happen at once as she speaks, her mouth stopping mid-sentence. First, a loud booming noise rings out, and then the top of her head seems to explode. Amy screams out in surprise, and I jump back in shock as Strickland's body collapses behind me. Behind her fallen body, Barksdale is holding his experimental rifle, and now he's pointing it at us. Oh my God. I wonder if Barksdale is even crazier than Marcus. He just shot a woman that worked for him to keep her quiet. Surely he won't have an issue with killing me. Now, Barksdale yells, no more whispering, no secrets. You two will stay in here. And get away from that door. If anyone whispers one more thing, I'll blow your heads off. My mind is racing to figure out a way to get through the secured door into the hangar. Beyond that, of course, there was the failsafe switch. I feel like insulting Barksdale at this point is a terrible idea. That will get me shot through the brain. Just saying. We're gonna make a distraction. I try my best to be a good actor as I wobble on my feet a bit. I start forward again, and then wobble some more. Amy is apparently catching on because she is at my side in a second. She looks over to Barksdale and says, he's lost a lot of blood. Let me check his wounds real quick. After he dared talk to me like that? He's been through a lot, she argues. He's clearly delusional. You can check him back here, Barksdale says. You have 30 seconds to get away from that door, or I will. I stretch out my acting skills to actually stumble to a knee. I make a show of trying to get to my feet and then stand still for a moment. I'm okay, I say. I'm okay. As quickly as I can, I raise my gun and fire. I don't even take aim. I just fire in Barksdale's general direction. Barksdale takes off running as my shot misses wide. He runs for cover to the back of the room. That's all we need. Amy also fires a shot to keep him under cover as we head for the door. Amy pushes a button and the door swings open. Barksdale will be on us in a second. So we dash out into the hangar, ready to defend ourselves. This is going on for a while. Amy and I run as fast as we can through the rows of barrels. Barksdale comes charging out of the chamber almost immediately. As he steps to the hangar floor, he starts shooting. Each shot sends a jolt of fear through me as I wait for the bullets to end my life. We need to get to the elevator on the far side of the room, Amy tells me. It leads down below to the switch. Sprint to the elevator is probably the best idea because Barksdale's lost his cool, and he's militarily trained with a highly advanced weapon. Yeah, facing him is not the best idea. Okay, she says, go. I take a few shots in Barksdale's direction, succeeding in getting him to take cover and pause his stream of fire. Both make a run for it, knowing we only have seconds. Somehow I make it through the row of barrels and get to the elevator's entrance. I turn back to allow Amy to enter first, but she's in there. I look back to the barrels and see that she has fallen about halfway down the row. She doesn't appear to be hurt, but she's paralyzed with fear, sitting motionlessly as Barksdale peppers the area with gunfire. If I can shoot at Barksdale and force him to take cover, maybe Amy can get out. It just seems like a bad idea to go back. You know? I step back out and try to get a clean shot on Barksdale, but the angle's all wrong. I try my best to get off a shot. It's not anywhere near him. Barksdale doesn't even flinch. I'll have to help Amy from here. I remember the contents of the barrels. One color is highly flammable fuel, the other contains liquid nitrogen. I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty sure liquid nitrogen is mostly harmless unless you have direct contact. If one of those barrels gets shot or the liquid nitrogen spills out, I'm fairly positive it will simply evaporate. That could create a cover of sorts for Amy, like a smoke cloud. Ah, hell, but which barrel holds liquid nitrogen? Strickland told us, but I can't remember. I have to remember quickly or Barksdale is going to get careless with his shooting and we could all die. Oh my god. Gray? Probably. Yellow's typically flammable stuff, and jet fuel's flammable. Gray. You said she's a gray barrel? Gray. Pretty sure gray barrels have liquid nitrogen ammo. Regardless, I don't have time to second guess myself. I take aim and pull the trigger, hitting a gray barrel 20 feet from Amy. There's nothing at first, and I just wonder if I hit an empty barrel. There's a deafening explosion of fire. It knocks me to my ass, and I can hear Amy screaming. As flame and debris rain over me, my heart sinks out. It wasn't the gray barrels. I just shot a barrel full of fuel. Oh, shit. I stand up, feeling that hairs on my arms have been singed slightly from the fire. I can hear Amy out there. Her leg is on fire, and she's doing everything she can to roll it out, but... Oh, no. No. But everywhere she rolls, there's more fire. Just as I'm about to run to help her, I hear a gunshot. I freeze for a moment, assuming the shot is meant for me. But as I watch, a large red hole looms in Amy's back. As she topples over, I glance up to see Barksdale with his gun, proud of his skill. Sorrow and fury boil within me, but I have to keep it under control. I have to get to that switch. With Amy gone, there's nothing else for me to do here. I turn away from the hangar and head to the elevator, my nerves drenched in fear and adrenaline. When I reach out to press the call button on the elevator, it feels like I'm watching someone else do it. I step inside and the doors close. The monitors on the elevator sound like dying dogs. The motors on the elevator sound like dying dogs, sorry. As the elevator slides down, the light from the flames give way to complete blackness, and now I'm on my own. Oh my god, I've killed everyone I love. How long does this chapter go on for? Like, Jesus. I lose track of how long the elevator descends. It's hard to tell due to the lack of lighting. It must be. It must go another 500 feet underground. The elevator comes to a stop with a shuddering clang. It wastes no time exiting. A tunnel stretches out with sparse white bulbs lighting the way. Most of the wall is made of earth and rock, but there are boards and concrete slathering in areas used to reinforce the tunnel. I see a warning sign posted on the wall. I want to read it, but there's not much time. We're gonna. The gamer in me says stop and look at everything, but the situation says keep frickin' moving. Warning: authorized personnel only beyond this point. Trespassers will be prosecuted and focusing on the law. Absolutely no exceptions. Well, glad that we got that out of the way now that everyone is dead. Suddenly, I feel the effects of the painkillers again. My head feels like a balloon, and my balance is off kilter. I look up when I see the tunnel ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head. Claustrophobia freezes me for a moment. Still, it's too much. It's much better than facing the monsters above me. I wonder then, walking through the darkness, where they came from. Is the portal still open? The bulbs do little to thwart the darkness. I hold the gun in one hand and reach out to touch the wall with the other. Feeling the wall under my palm anchors me to reality, to sanity. I'm not in some boundless abyss, but still in the real world. For a little while longer, at least. I recognize that I'm marching to my end. As much as I wish I weren't, it's not surprising. From the moment I saw what those creatures could do to time and space, at least a part of me knew that death was inevitable. Before I have time to wonder whether my family will really miss me, I see a light ahead. It's nothing more than a speck of blue light in the darkness, but in the darkness of the tunnel, it's like a lighthouse on a stormy sea. I slog forward, my eyes strained to focus on that little light ahead. From somewhere ahead, I start to hear something that sounds like water. It is trickling lightly, like a leaky faucet. And behind that, there is something that sounds like wind, a light breeze through an open field, and a voice. Anywhere else, the sounds would have been pleasant, but here in the blackness of the tunnel, they're menacing. Yeah, I feel like I'm hallucinating. I don't think those painkillers were off the counter stuff. Um, we're gonna stay quiet. I don't make a sound, instead trying to make sense of what's going on around me. I cock my head while trying to concentrate, and then realize that I can see in the tunnel walls now. This is odd. I wasn't able to see them a few seconds ago. This is different from the blue light at the end of the tunnel. It's then that I see the slight shimmering in the air. It looks like a foggy mirror steamed over after a shower. And it's moving, dancing in the air, like some abstract firefly. It's not menacing like the creatures. So the threat is null. It's peaceful, serene. I watch as this shimmer branches out and becomes 2, then 3, then 4. They snake out in different directions, tracing the tunnel walls. There are shimmers. Are these shimmers the doors to another dimension that Strickland was talking about? Suddenly I'm surrounded by light above and below me, realizing there's no avoiding it. The real question is, how am I going to get through? How am I going through? Oh. See, head first is like, oh, I can see what's there, kind of be able to react a little better. But also, if I lose my head, I die. So, there's that. I stick my head through and feel a tingling sensation, almost pleasant. I reach out slowly, my hand stretching out to one of those shimmers of what I can only assume are some kind of light. They're hypnotizing, so much so that I don't realize that the tunnel walls are vanishing. I feel something like wind and a brief electrical pulse pass through me as the lights take me. There is then a very gentle pushing sensation, and I somehow know that I'm being expelled. I have passed through something. Maybe the lights, maybe the tunnel walls. I don't know. But the shimmering lights fade a bit, still dancing in the air, but no longer large and branching out. As my eyes adjust, I see right away that I'm no longer standing in the dark tunnel far beneath the hangar. I have no idea where I am. I'm just somewhere else, and I'm terrified. Okay. Oh my. Oh, hello. This is fun. The ground I land on looks like hot coals. There are dips and many cliffs breaking the landscape ahead of me. There I watch. There's a wash of orange and blue overhead in the sky that makes no sense. It's both beautiful and terrifying at once. A scattering of stars hang overhead as they all seem to be breathing, pulsing with a gentle energy as if alive. I can't tell if there are clouds in the sky because everything about it, from the colors to the trembling horizon line, seems to be amorphous. Excuse me. Everything is knitted together, living. I stare a moment longer, and I can swear I feel the sky breathing. Far off to my right, I see what looks to be a plume of fire, small yet bright, with no source of fuel. It looks as if the ground itself is creating the flames. Several more of those flames dot the landscape further out. The air is thick and muggy. Then I realize something horrible. I don't know if what I'm breathing here resembles air at all. In a place like this, one of impossible beauty, but also very stark horror. My game goes dark. That's what happens. One of impossible beauty, but also very stark horror. My mind doesn't know what to do. A wave of nausea comes over me, and I think I might be sick. I'm not sure if it would be better to fight it or give in. The white light that brought me here is nowhere to be found. Is anyone else even here? Is there any way I could escape? Well, what little air you probably do have, you don't want to waste screaming, I think. That'd be a bad idea. But we're going to do it anyway. Take a deep breath of whatever otherworldly gas is filling this place and belt out as loud as I can. Hello? Hello? Is anyone out there? Anyone? I hear a voice in response. It's faint, distant. I turn and hear it coming out of one of the massive crevices along the ground. Inside of that crack, about 10 feet down, is a very pale man lies on the ledge. He is human, but looks close to death. He is in the center of a very large pool of blood, and his left leg has been twisted and torn in an unnatural way. As I walk to the ledge, I look. Oh, excuse me. As I walk to the ledge, he looks up and sees me. Help me, please, the man says. His eyes are wide, although everything about him speaks of weakness. He is close to death, or insanity, or both. Who are you? I'm Dr. Kenna. He strains to get out. I work in the facility. Please help. I want to know more, but it seems cruel to steal what looks like his last breath just to answer my questions. I'd love to, I respond, but I don't know where the hell I am or how to get back home. The light, he says. It's the doorway. It might take you back to the facility. Well, where did it go? They come and go. They'll be back. Now please Help me. I desperately want to help, but there's no way I can reach him. His ledge is too far away, above the pools of fire. I don't think I can get to you, I say. That's not what I mean, he replies. His eyes are on the shotgun that I almost forgot I'm still holding. I realize he wants what he wants, and I shake my head. I can't, I say. I can't do that. Please, he pleads. Those things, they have others that came here with me. I got dropped along the way. They'll be back. They'll be back and they'll kill me. That's, he says again, indicating the gun. That will be quicker, less painful. I can't, I repeat. Please, look at my damn leg. I'm dead anyway. I'm about to refuse him again, and then I hear an all too familiar static sound from another crevice behind him. I hear another of those shrill noises, and then I watch as one of those monsters materializes up out of the neighboring crevice. Two more come out after it, then a third, then 5, then 10. Soon I lose count. Soon I lose count as what was just a few turns into a flood. I suddenly understand the man's reasoning. A bullet would be mercy. I check the gun and see that I have only one round left. I can use it on this guy, but I may need it for myself later. From beside me, the man pleads again. My God, he says, a waver of lunacy? I don't know. In his voice. Please. I'm gonna do it. I look back at the man and wince. I know it's the right thing to do, but my finger resists. With a roar of disgust, I level the gun towards his head, turn my eyes away, and pull the trigger. Your aim is true. The man crumbles lifelessly to the ground. And that's when I see the shimmers wavering to my right, the direction I originally came from. I look back to the monsters and see that they now notice me. Some of them begin floating up the walls of the crevice. They are less than 10 feet away, separating us. The shimmering of white light are within arm's reach. Its movements reminding me of a fish in an aquarium. I reach out and feel myself accepted by them again. Feel the sensation of the wind and wait for the feeling of being pushed out, back to the tunnel in the facility. But it doesn't come this time. This time I feel something else. I feel a tugging sensation. This seems to want to drag me in all directions at once. As the world goes dark, I realize that I'm somewhere else. And it's not the darkness of the tunnel. It's the darkness of a total void. Oh my God. There is darkness around me everywhere. Nothingness. I feel nothing under my feet, nothing to my sides. I can't touch or sense anything at all. I don't even know which way is up or down. It is as though I am all that exists, and I remain there. I just hear silence, not even the sound of my heartbeat. The blackness is so deep that I feel I can't distinguish between my thoughts and what is real. I even hear screaming, but I can't tell if it's someone else or my mind screaming to fill the void. I try to kick and move my arms. It's not working. But it's not clear what way it's not working. Are my limbs not moving? Have they gone numb? It's impossible to tell. My body has just become absent of all sensation. I assume this is the place that Strickland referred to, the place between dimensions. The darkness could consume me if it wanted to. I try to will myself out of it. I have those shimmering lights spit me out, but it isn't happening. At this point, my mind starts to hallucinate, or at least I think it does. Are they visions? My mind playing tricks on me? I I can't tell. All I can do is watch. I see the logging site and Tony's leg still pinned under the dozer. I feel a pang of regret that I had left him in such a state. I see myself taking Dennis, and he looks distraught as I tell him that Tony is gone. Then the scene rearranges itself, and I'm standing between Dennis and Marcus's gun. It changes again, and the shape of Marcus's body appears in front of me, half devoured, a bullet through his head. In my mind, I'm sobbing as I watch Dennis get torn apart by those monsters all over again. And I just stood by and watched. And I try to let out a scream as I watch myself shoot the wrong barrel, blowing Amy to hell, but there's still no sound. And just when I feel like I can't take any more of this, I see the man in that strange world begging for death. I watch as I take his life just before those beasts reach him. All those things are flooding my mind, and it feels like my brain is vomiting. Yet in the midst of it all, I see what's really important, the switch. In my mind's eye, I see that glowing light in the tunnel, the one far ahead, small and distant. Focus on it. I focus my mind on the tunnel and the image of that flickering light. With a mental effort so strong that it's nearly a physical motion, I make myself envision that little light in the tunnel as if it were right here in front of me. With that, I feel the wind again, a light breeze that seems to come from everywhere. And then, with a relief I can only imagine feels like death, I move forward. Oh my god, that's so trippy. That is trippy as balls right there. I'm ejected from the void and suddenly standing in the tunnel again. I let out a wail of triumph and that turns into a bout of weeping. The weeping only intensifies when I see the light up ahead. Damn it! Game. Come on. My game is literally crashing. Like, I can't. Hold on. Yeah, my game crashed. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to leave this here then, because that was a long time. Yeah. Well, actually, here. Let me see something. Get out of here. Get out of here. Alright, let's try getting back in. Instead. Okay, here we go. Weeping only intensifies when I see the light up ahead, a flickering blue light. Somewhere behind me I hear a crackling noise, the monsters from the other place. They have come through. But not at the same time. They've gone down the tunnel, the other way in search of me. And I know because of my crying, they know I was here. They knew I was here. I feel like I can listen to get a better read on where they are, but I can't just take a break for it. I'm going to run to that light. I'm going to run for that light. I don't even bother looking back. There's no time. Instead, I run with all my might straight ahead, my focus on that little blue light ahead of me. As I run, I see a different light, a white one flickering in my peripheral vision. It's another of those shimmers that goes to other worlds. It seems that they are appearing and disappearing with more frequency now. Strickland was right. These things could reach the surface soon, unleashing more monsters. This thought makes me refocus on the blue light, the man-made light, the switch. The blue light gets closer, and as it does, I can make out a square shape around it. This has to be it. The familiar static scream of the monsters is much closer now. I have to be quick. I grip the gun tightly, regretting my decision to use the last bullet on the man in the other world. Looks like all I'll be using for this is a bludgeon. I run ahead into the darkness, my eyes locked on the switch that I assume is going to kill not only the creatures but myself as well. As I approach, I see the lever. It's covered by a glass box that will need to break. The blue light is directly beneath this, highlighting a series of tubes and wires that snake into the inner workings of the device. In the middle of the blackness, not like a darkly colored part of the machine, but just as a whole in reality, it looks like some sort of illusion. All the while, I can hear the static of the creatures coming up dangerously close now. I have no idea how much time I have. Smash the glass. Get that button mashed. I draw back the stock of the gun and smash through the glass box that houses the lever. The glass shattering is like music to my ears. I reach out for the lever, my hand grasping it. Without warning, I feel immense pain throughout my body. It feels like fire racing down my back, causing me to fall to one knee in agony. There's only one of them that I can see. It blasts horrible static noise at me as I ready my gun. With no bullets left, I get ready to use it as a club. I try to strike. The monster bats the gun away, warping it into an S shape, and then follows up by swinging its appendage at me. The sting of its touch forces me back against the side of the cavern, my face striking the wall hard. My jaw crunches, and I feel a sharp pain encompass my head. Then the creature's upon me again. Its tentacles melt into me, and I scream. I can't help it. I sound like a wild animal. I can try to keep fending them off, or I can go for broke and just focus on the lever. Creatures be damned. Now, spring for that lever. I put all of my strength into my legs the moment that monster in front of me draws back its eel-like arms to grab me. I pivot backwards. My back strikes the machine, sending agony rocketing through my body. I'm so thankful I broke the glass before this moment, before the coming violence. I stretch out and grab the lever with one last desperate scream that shreds my voice. I jam it down. The tunnel is suddenly filled with a flash of intense darkness. It expands from the switch, swallowing the matter around it. At first, I'm sure this is the end of me. I expect the darkness to consume me, followed by death. But then, another shimmer of dancing white light appears next to me. There's more of those streams of light. There are more of those streams of light, rips in space like the ones that previously sent me to that other ungodly world in the void. With nothing else to do but die, I try to escape into the shimmer. When that stream of light envelops me, the expanding darkness of the switch is gone, and I feel a huge push. It's so pretty. So pretty. My body feels stretched, collapsing, like I'm falling in all directions at once. The world goes white, and then there are pinpoints of the stars everywhere. One of them breezes directly by my right, and I see something that looks like a spiral galaxy distorted in its folds. To my right, I see an endless stretch of stars and glass clouds forming some galactic architecture. But beyond the immeasurable beauty, I notice something. I am seeing the same star patterns over and over. They're repeating, like reflections in an endless mirror. Are these different versions, that is not English, of the same galaxies, the same realities. To my left, I see calm blue world. I can barely make out the trees, familiar Kentucky trees that I have been around for the last few years. To my right, I see a copy, an orange world. There are trees there as well, but something is strange, disturbing. As I zoom by, I'm not sure how much control I have in this unusual place. But if I can direct myself, it's worth trying. So this is the big decision. This is the big final decision. Do we go to the blue world or do we go to the orange world? You know what? I feel the story goes in this game. I feel this guy, he's been through a lot, all right? He's been through quite the hell the last couple hours, not gonna lie. But in doing so, he yearns for adventure. He wants to see the unknown now. He wants to face it because nothing can be as terrible as what he's just seen. And so he heads for the orange world. I try to focus my mind on heading towards the orange world, not knowing what to expect. My breath escapes me for a moment. Everything is dark and peaceful, and nothing hurts. Truck! No, truck! With breath back inside my body, I gasp and open my eyes. And back at the logging site. How? I'm not sure. Did the shimmers react with the implosion of the switch? Some other accident? I have no idea. I sit upright and become instantly dizzy. I wonder if I somehow back in time. Not English again. Before we found the facility. But what happens next makes me realize that this can't be true. I feel a tremor in the ground somewhere off in the distance. I hear a metallic groan. The buried facility. It's being ripped apart under the ground by the activation of the switch. I hear trees splintering and popping all around me. And then there's a muffled sound of an implosion. A huge group of trees is falling, followed by a massive plume of dust and debris. There's no way Barksdale survived. Good riddance. I look in the direction of where I found Dennis sitting before all this started. And it's then that I remember that he's gone, along with Amy. I'm still not sure how I got out of that facility alive. That, I suppose, is the most important thing, alone but alive. But something feels off in the way that I cannot quite explain. And it's then that I look up and notice the sky. That it starts to sink in. Oh my goodness. I seriously just got chills. Oh my god. It's then that I am able to see the sky unobstructed by the trees that has been standing several minutes that had been standing several minutes ago. It has the stars to sink in. There's something different about it, something not right. The sky does not belong here. It is a sky of oranges and blues. Stars pulse in and out as if alive. The colors of the sky seem to breathe as if they are trying to inhale the tops of the spruce trees. I see those colors all knitted together and living. My stomach rolls and a scream rises up in my throat. What the hell have I done? Wait, what the hell did you do? What did I do? Did I do a bad? You and 36% of players decided to take the painkillers. You and 38% of players didn't shoot the right barrel, resulting in Amy's death. Nice. You and 30% of players mercifully killed the man who asked for death. You and 17% of players headed toward the orange world. And that is it. That is the game. If you'd like to test out the beta versions for upcoming games, sign in the newsletter, and thanks again. Alright, so that was Buried. And oh my goodness, what an ending to that story. Alive but alone. That's the achievement I got, I think. I don't know. But man, oh my goodness, that was so good. Oh, I loved it. I loved it so much. Alright, well, this is probably going to end up being a later video because I am recording this now. It's 2:30, and I still have to edit and render all this. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hit that like button if you did enjoy, and subscribe to keep up to date with everything else that I do. Apart from that, I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.